Hello, Jimmy J's here, and I wanted to give you a quick update about the upcoming training that you are attending. I know that you're busy, and I know that your time is very valuable, and so I want to make sure that you are attending the right training. On this webinar, we're going to go over how to recruit like crazy using meetup.com's existing database of targeted leads in a way that positions you as a trusted authority, builds massive goodwill, and adds value to your prospect's life regardless of whether or not they buy. It's the exact system that I use to recruit 25 people in 21 days, and I'm going to break it all down for you on the webinar. So what we're going to cover is how to tap into an existing database of targeted prospects who already want what you sell. We're going to go through how to recruit like crazy without calling friends and family and without chasing cold market prospects. I'm going to give you an example of how David attracted 372 prospects in 1 month and how he sorted through all of them to find who the most motivated action takers were, 106 of them to be exact, without making a single phone call. And I'm going to show you how to turn your rank advancement goal into a concrete plan that creates predictable results. Now, if you're like most network marketers who've already gone through your warm market list, this probably won't be the first presentation you've ever seen about how to find prospects and recruit them. And if you're like most networkers, you've probably found much of what you've seen so far to be pretty disappointing. And I promise you this will be different. And here's how, okay? This is the recruiting quadrant, and it explains the different ways that we recruit. And so when you're recruiting, you are either doing so one-to-one or one-to-many, meaning you're either prospecting people one at a time or you're prospecting with some leverage in groups. And the other axis is that you're either taking the chasing positioning or you're taking the authority positioning, meaning that either you're chasing prospects or prospects are chasing you. That's really all there is to it. And in the one-to-one chasing category, that is called the grind. We've also got vendor, we've got busy professional, and we've got the star quadrant. And here's the thing, 99% of the strategies that you and I have been taught about cold market prospecting and recruiting are all in the grind quadrant. In other words, they're all just different strategies and different ways of doing the same thing, chasing prospects and doing it at a one-at-a-time basis, okay? So that's what we're taught to do. We're taught to Facebook message strangers, we're taught to buy leads, or we're taught to use the 3-foot rule, right? And just prospect every single person who comes within 3 feet of us, right? The person who makes our coffee, the person who sits beside us on an airplane, or the person standing in line behind us at Walmart. And we're supposed to just recruit all of those people. The problem is when you're recruiting that way and you're chasing people one at a time, it starts to lead to a feeling of desperation, and prospects pick up on that. And what happens is, as you start to not get the results that you want by operating in this quadrant, people will tell us to just watch motivational videos, right? That just tell us to, get up earlier and go to bed later, right? To try to ignore the fact that we don't like the feeling of chasing and basically try to outwork the fact that the strategy that you were taught is terrible. And what I promise you is that the webinar that we're going to go through is not going to be about just a new fancy way to chase people one at a time. We're going to talk about a fundamentally different way to recruit, which is recruiting in a different quadrant. We're going to move to the star quadrant where you're an authority and where you're prospecting in groups, where you've got one-to-many type of leverage, so it doesn't take all of your time, right? Where you're positioned as an authority and prospects are chasing you, something that expands your reach and commands respect. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be dramatically different than anything that you've ever seen before. And here's the thing, all right? What we're talking about right now, these different recruiting quadrants, is so important and so relevant right now. I don't know if you saw this, but the other day, the Direct Selling Association, the DSA, reported that last year, MLM did $166 billion in sales. Now, to give that some perspective, last year, the NFL, the National Football League, did $9.5 billion in sales. The music industry as a whole did $15 billion in sales, and MLM did $166 billion in sales worldwide. It's a gigantic industry with 89 million distributors, again, according to the Direct Selling Association. And so the question is, why on earth should a prospect join you rather than finding and joining an online guru? right? It's becoming harder and harder for you as a network marketer to set yourself apart from everyone else out there. And the best way to set yourself apart is by adding value. And on the training, I'm going to show you how to use meetup.com to add value in advance. Listen, your prospects don't care about your goals, your pin level, your rank, or even how much money you make. All they care about is if you can help them reach their goals. And by following what I'm going to teach you on the webinar, you're going to prove to them that you can help them by actually helping them. We're going to talk about how to set yourself apart using a skill set that you already have with targeted prospects who are already interested while doing something that you love and doing it in a way that's leveraged, right, where you're prospecting in groups so it doesn't take so much of your time. And this is going to allow you to attract more prospects, to build massive goodwill, and to recruit with authority. So if you're concerned about being perceived as just another network marketer who only calls when they have something new to sell, you're going to love this because we're going to build massive goodwill and add so much value that prospects are eager and excited to hear from you. All right. By establishing yourself as a trusted authority, you attract way more prospects, it's easier to recruit, and you get treated with the respect you deserve. It also makes you about 1 million times cooler than every other grinder out there who's just trying to make sales and collect credit card numbers. So if you like this vein that we've been going down, this approach to recruiting and adding value, you're going to love the training I've put together for you. So here's what's going to happen next. All right, a question I've been getting over and over is, who am I to run a meetup group and where am I going to find people to join this group? Okay, so what you can expect is an email from me in the next day or two, and we're going to go through together a quick exercise to help you come up with a topic in a group that you're comfortable with. And we're going to choose something that you love so that you can have fun in your meetup group and you can look forward to it. And we're going to make sure that the group that we create will allow you to attract your perfect prospect. And don't worry about where to find people, okay? Meetup has that part covered for you. It's the best part. It'll happen automatically and it's practically free. They're going to flood you with a ton of targeted, motivated leads. And I'll explain more on the webinar, but that's what to expect. You can also expect some reminders before we start. I know you're busy and I want to make sure that you don't miss anything. So the webinar is going to be about 60 minutes. So if you set aside about 90 minutes, you'll be safe. And it'll also mean that you can get your questions answered at the end, as I'll be doing some live Q&A. There's nothing you need to do. You're already registered for the training. The webinar date and time should be somewhere on this page. So just take a minute while it's fresh in your mind and add it to your calendar so that you don't miss anything. I really hope that you've enjoyed this training as much as I've enjoyed making it for you. And I will see you on the webinar. And I'm very excited for you to recruit with authority. So I'll see you there.